Hello, hello, hello. Congratulations. Welcome to the Midday Motivational Call. This is a call that happens every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific time, 12 noon Eastern. For the people that are live on the call, welcome, welcome. If you're listening to the replay, I encourage you to hop on these calls because this call is designed to help you have a jump start in the day. So if you're someone, especially on the West Coast, get the chance to hear the call like bright early in the morning, just as you're waking up. A great way to start your day. If you're catching you midday on the East Coast, it's a great way to kind of take a little break, or maybe you have audio headphones like in your ear, and you're listening as you're continuing to do other activities throughout the day. So maybe you're driving a car, maybe you're taking your lunch, maybe you're in a cubicle right now, and you're just looking for that extra dose of inspiration to keep going so that way you can see the vision, so that way you can really see what's the light at the end of the tunnel, so that way you can really pay attention now as you understand the power that you have inside of you when you tap down deep inside. When you get involved into entrepreneurship, when you get involved into an industry like this, if you're in direct sales, or maybe you start a small business, or maybe you just hopped on the call because maybe you thought you'd get some marketing tips, or maybe you hopped on the call just because you wanted to see what the community is like with a group of people that are all focused and moving into a direction. And what I've noticed over the course of the past decade for me is that your friends, the people that you associate with, the 5 people, you're really a sum of who they are. Maybe that could be the way that you speak. Maybe that could be the type of car that you drive. Maybe the house that you live in. Maybe the type of belief systems that you have. Maybe the way that you show up and wake up every in the morning, and just the drive and motivation that you have. Maybe how much time do you spend at the gym? What type of hobbies you have? To me, that is a sum of the 5 people that you hang around the most. And the best way that I believe that you can break the pattern, and if you want to get to the next level, what I encourage you to do is really pay attention to who those 5 friends are that you're spending the most time with. Not saying to change your friends, but who are you spending the most time with? An easy way to tap into another source is to attend calls like this. Because from hearing the sound of my voice to maybe the other side of the phone as you're listening in, I want you to think about something. I'm not actually in the room right now. I'm not actually in the room, but it might sound like it. It might sound like I'm maybe sitting right next to you. It might sound like if you're in car driving, I might be in the passenger seat. If you're in work, I might be sitting, looking over your shoulder, seeing what you're doing, and we're just having a conversation. That's the crazy part about how the subconscious mind works, because your subconscious mind can't tell the difference of like if you're hearing the sound of someone's voice, or especially like through audio, or maybe you're watching a video on the computer, your subconscious mind, when it takes that information in, it treats that as the person is in the room having a conversation with you. So I want you to think, like, who are the most influential people do you know? Do you listen to motivation? There's a reason why you should be listening to motivation every single day, because it's kind of like taking a shower. It wears off. So sometimes you have to go and get re-energized. And so I want you to really think about who are the most influential people you know, and really start seeing if you can plug into their training, start plug into the information that they have. On the call specifically today, what I want to cover is how to multiply your time. How to multiply your time. And so one of the reasons that I was attracted to at least the profession of direct sales was back in 2010, I was watching a presentation, and there were a few wealth building concepts that I first saw that really caught my attention right away, because at the time I was a legal assistant. I was working in a legal office, and I was working part-time. I think I was making like $14 an hour. And I just knew that every single week that I would collect the check, which would happen to be biweekly. So every 2 weeks I would collect the check. As soon as I would collect the check, it felt like the money was gone the next day. And I knew there had to be a better way. I knew there had to be a better system out there and a better way of operating. And so I realized I was spending so much time at this job, so much time at this place, so much time at a place that I really didn't want to be, so much time at a place where I felt underappreciated, so much time that I realized I was actually taking away from my hobbies. Like, for instance, I love to play soccer. I love to go to the gym. And I love kind of hanging around the community and just hanging around positive people and just really getting better on a daily basis as a human being. And I realized that when I would walk into this place, I'd spend sometimes like 8 hours there every single day. And so it's just interesting to me that when you can learn how to multiply time, you can get a large time block back. And so when I saw this presentation, the few key things that I saw was, number one was the concept of residual income. I want you to think about maybe like a Seinfeld like TV show, or maybe any other sitcom where the person has done the work once, they filmed the TV show once, but years later, decades later, that show continues to play over and over and over and over and over again, producing royalties. So the work that you did one time continues to pay you over and over and over again, almost seemingly for the rest of your life. Or another example of that might be in real estate. So maybe if you have like a house that you're renting out, every single month you're collecting on a residual monthly rent payment over and over and over and over and over again. Maybe if you kind of flip the role for just a moment and thought about like your cable bill, or maybe like your phone bill. Well, the cable bill comes in every single month like clockwork, and you're paying that bill. So it's residual income for the company over and over and over again. Same thing with like your phone. And I want you to think, like, if you're working a 9 to 5 right now, and maybe you're trading time for money, what is a way, or what is something that you could do in your life right now to start putting the flashlight of your focus on how to acquire this mystical concept called residual income? Because why is it so important? If you have done a certain type of work in life that produces an income stream for you over and over and over and over again, and the amount of that income matches your monthly expenses, guess what you've created? Guess what you've created? You've created a scenario where it could be Monday or it could be Saturday, but guess what? It doesn't really matter, because every day is just a different day. The bills are paid because you've got enough income coming in from work you've done one time to cover your bills. Now, guess what that does? It gets you the ability to start dreaming again. What is it that you want to do? How much time do you want to spend around friends, family? Do you want to travel more? Do you want to maybe participate in a certain hobby? Do you have like really big athletic goals, and maybe you want to spend a little bit more time in the gym? What does time freedom mean for you? What does not having to go to work? What does not having to go to 9 to 5? What does that mean for you? Another income concept that I learned back in that presentation was the concept of multiple streams of income. Multiple streams of income. And so what multiple streams of income meant for me at that time was, well, at the time I was working a job. So when I was able to start a business, that was able to produce an extra stream of income on top of what I was currently doing. What I noticed about the business is that the business could actually work part-time in maybe like an hour, couple hours a day, a few hours a day, whatever time period I had on top of working the job, I could be able to create an extra stream of income. But I also noticed in the business, there was also different revenue centers. For instance, in a company that a majority of people on the line might be promoting on the line right now, there's going to be a place where you can actually have multiple products, where if you are acquiring customers in a business like this, then the different products that you have are different revenue sources, and that can create multiple streams of income for you. And the reason why that's important is because if you're working a job like a 9 to 5, guess who's paying you the money? Well, the money's got to come from somewhere, and usually it's either boss, the company owner, company's paying you money, boss pays you money, boss pays you money, boss pays you money. But what happens when that stops? What happens if you get hurt? What happens if you get fired? What happens if something drastic happens and that income disappears overnight? For most people, it becomes a frantic situation to go out there and figure out how to replace that income. Why is it so frantic? Is because there's only one stream. It's because there's only one stream. At a boss is only one person that you are really trusting and depending on to, if you show up, that they're going to pay you. That takes huge trust, and it's only one person, one entity is paying you money typically at a job. Well, one thing I love about business, and one thing I love about entrepreneurship, is that you can have lots and lots and lots and lots of customers. So this would be different revenue sources that you can create, kind of like having multiple streams of income maybe under a roof. And let's say a customer stops paying you. They decide to stop paying the auto ship if you're in direct sales, or maybe they just decide to go do business with someone else. I want you to think about something. So if you have hundreds of customers and one person decides to go do business with someone else, does that take away your whole income stream? Well, probably not. Probably not. So it's a little bit of a safer way, in my personal opinion, to go out there and create a long-term sustainable income, get lots and lots of customers, get lots and lots of people that are paying you money. Another wealth building concept I learned in that presentation was the concept of time leverage. And the easiest way to explain that is that if you are someone that is a human being on planet Earth, chances are you probably only have 24 hours in the day. Like, you only have 24 hours. But did you know it's possible to multiply your time? Did you know it's possible to get more hours in the day than 24 hours? You might be like, well, Brian, I'm a human being. How do I get more than 24 hours in the day? Well, the truth of the matter is that this is where we go to a concept called time leveraging. And I heard a long time ago from a good book I read. I want to say it was from Napoleon Hill or Andrew Carnegie. It was one of the other. But they said, I'd rather have 1% of 100 people's efforts than 100% of my own. 1% of 100 people's efforts than 100% of my own. And when you start learning how you can implement maybe into like a business where you're acquiring lots of customers, and you can go out there and really understand that if you are someone that creates more leverage through systems, business systems that work, possibly like if you go to bed, there might be like a marketing system that is continuing to follow up and maybe do a presentation for a product that you're selling. Even while you're sleeping, someone could log on in the middle of the night or across the world and watch a presentation when you are sleeping. That's cool. That's called creating time through systems. But then creating time through people is really gathering an organization and then being able to have everyone work together. So that way it creates an energy and kind of this mystical situation where, because everyone is working together, more is getting done, timeframes are being collapsed, and so you can get a whole lot more done in the span of 24 hours that would typically take 48, 72, over 100, 125 hours. That could be like from if one person was to do the work on their own. But if a team and a community all work together, then it's a great way to multiply your time. And so what I want to do over the course of maybe next few minutes is I actually want to give you like a live example. And so if you have like a pen and paper, maybe you're taking notes, what I would encourage you to do is write down this number at the top of your page. 168. 168. So what is the significance of the number 168 in your life? So with number 168 at the top of your paper, I'm going to let you know that this number represents the total amount of hours there are in a week. And so what I want you to do is maybe during the call or after the call, I want you to really start accounting, like, how do you actually use your time? I'm going to give you an example of maybe how someone else might use their time. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to be very generous with how much time things take. So that way, if you're someone that doesn't take as much time, then you just realize that, hey, I got some time to create time freedom in my life. And I have some time to go out there and actually chase my dreams. I have some time to go out there and fit a smart strategy for you personally, part-time, outside of what you currently do, and start leading yourself in the direction of the freedom model. Because when it comes to energy and when it comes to focus, the mind takes in over 2 million bits of information per second, but can only process maybe about 132 bits of it. Significantly less. Over 2 million bits of information every second the brain processes, but can only consciously process about 132 bits. Significantly less. What does that mean? So that means wherever you point the flashlight of your focus in your life, your subconscious mind, all the things that you don't think about, like for instance, like you don't think about the way that your heart beats and the way that feels. You don't think about maybe that tingling sensation on the bottom of your feet. You don't think about how your chest rises up and down And so it's not until you point the flashlight of your focus into paying attention to these things that it actually matters. And so when you actually create a scenario where you are pointing the flashlight of your focus into how do I create more time freedom? How do I multiply my time? How do I get my life back? How do I create the time to be able to go do the things that I want to do? It's not until you point the flashlight and you purposely do it that all of the subconscious resources follow. Maybe it's your energy, maybe the energy that you put out there into the marketplace. Maybe your friends start to notice and they want to know what you're doing and what's changed about you. Because when it comes to business, a lot of people think like it's the mechanics, like how do I go and use a marketing system? How do I get traffic to my website? How do I go out there and post the perfect Facebook status update? And I'm telling you, if you're paying attention to the mechanics, you're probably not going to be in business for long, because in life, especially in most entrepreneurship models and most of what we do, and especially like if you're around my influence, what you'll notice is that the biggest amount of value that you can add to the marketplace is what's in your heart. It's not the mechanics, it's the dynamics. It's the dynamics. And so when you can get passionate, when you can really feel what's on the inside and bring that out, that's the energy that it takes to put focus into something. So with 168 written on the top of your page, let's go ahead and start deducting some hours. So first, we're going to assume that you work a full-time job. In fact, we're going to say that you work over 40 hours a week. So your goal is to start attracting all the hours that you spend on other commitments in life. And so let's say that you work full-time, maybe a little over that. We're going to subtract 48 hours during the working week from 168. So that leaves you about 120 hours left for other activities. But let's not forget the hour drive back to work and back. And so I'm going to count the time of maybe getting ready and getting the car, getting it started. Maybe if you make any stops to the gas or anything like that. What we're going to do is we're going to deduct about 12 hours for that per week. So some people work 5 days a week, some people work 6. We're going to give you a little bit of just over-exaggerated time and just say it's 12 hours per week on top of the 48 hours. So we're only left with about 108 hours left. Do you agree? So next, let's deduct about 3 full hours a day. 3 full hours. Are you spending 3 full hours a day now with your family, the kids, the pets, the loved ones? Like, who is it that you like to spend time with? And let's just say you spend 3 full hours a day just with family. That's a total of 21 hours. And so that leaves us with about 87 hours left for the week. But let's not forget, like, if you have hobbies and commitments, like for me, it might be soccer on the weekend. It might be going to the gym. And let's say that you spend about maybe 7 hours each week. And I'm not going to count drive time in this one, but let's just say 7 hours each week. We are now left with about 80 hours. So let's set aside time for eating. I mean, shoot, you have breakfast, you have lunch, you have dinner. Sometimes you actually go out to eat. Sometimes you have to prepare food. Sometimes food just comes. Maybe you got like the mobile apps and you just order food and it comes. But how much time does that typically take for possibly a normal person? With breakfast, lunch, and dinner, if you're combining those together, it might be a little 2 hours. I know sometimes it takes like 30 minutes to an hour for some people to eat their lunch. So we'll just say 2 hours for prepping meals and eating every single day, which is about another 14 hours per week. And so now we're left with about 66 hours for our chart here. But what about that beauty sleep? I'm going to be super generous and give you about 8 hours per night. Give you about 8 hours per night, a full night's rest, 8 hours per night. This will deduct 56 hours per week from your time left and still leave you with a full night's rest, exactly 10 hours left per week. And so these 10 hours will leave you with about an hour and a half each day to devote to building your business. And so here's what I want you to understand about multiplying your time. What happens if you, rather than sleeping 8 hours a day, you only decided to sleep 7? Well, how many hours per week did you just gain back? Is it starting to make sense? What if you only slept a couple hours? How many hours per week did you start to get back? Is it starting to make sense? And so what you can do is you can start identifying the things in your life that take the most time, that maybe you can cut down. And if you continue and remain consistent on a daily basis, that's going to be the first step to being able to start getting your time back, start multiplying your time. And with the new time that you have, how can you take this time and invest the energy into a vehicle, into a place in a location that allows you to produce more time, aka the concept of possibly like residual income and trying to match your monthly expenses so you don't have to work as hard every single month for you just to pay the bills. Because a lot of people, I mean, without like paying themselves, like they pay the bills first. And so it's like the money comes every single month and the money goes. Robbing Peter to pay Paul. How fun is that? And so I'm super excited. I'm super pumped up because I've realized that now is your time. Now is your time because you're on the call right now, whether you're on live or you're listening to the replay. And the truth of the matter is you wouldn't be here unless you've already made a decision on some level. You've already made a decision to improve your life. You've already made a decision to take life to the next level and see who you can impact. Like, what is your purpose? Maybe you haven't identified what your purpose is, but if I had to guess, I bet your purpose on this world has something to do with uplifting and empowering others based off of your personal experiences and what you might have gone through in your life. I believe that you're here because there's someone out there that needs to hear your story. There's someone out there that needs to see you take massive action. There's someone out there that needs you to see how the strategy that you approached life with, because maybe it didn't start there for you. Maybe it started in a place where you didn't want to be a long time ago. Maybe it's a place that you're trying to escape from. Maybe you've had some bad experiences. And so what you've realized is that when you change your association, when you start changing your mindset, weirdly enough, you start attracting different types of people, and that different types of people that you attract and the different work ethic, and it has absolutely created a different situation for you. And that situation could absolutely change someone's life. And so remember, you have the gift. Remember, you've got the power. Remember, you've got the ability to change the world. Remember, you have the ability to take a look at what you're actually doing. Like from the time that you wake up in the morning to the time that you go to sleep, how much time do you actually have, and how are you actually using the time? Because I promise you, there's people on this line right now that from how we were deducting the hours, they're probably not driving 12 hours a day. I mean, or 12 hours like for the whole week. Maybe their job is 10 minutes away, 15 minutes away, 20 minutes away, and you're like, dang, I've got a head start. Or maybe you're like, I don't sleep 8 hours a whole night. You're like, dang, I got a head start. Or maybe you're someone that you'd like to spend more time with your family. Maybe you're not spending a full 3 hours, but maybe you're spending an hour or two with your family. It's like, dang, maybe I've got a head start. And when you have all of those head starts, guess what you no longer have? You no longer have the excuses. The only thing that you're left with is a decision. And what I encourage you right now for the rest of this day is make a decision to go out there and change people's lives. Go out there and be the example. Go out there and be the leader. Go out there and tap into not the mechanics, because that stuff doesn't matter. That stuff's easy to teach and learn. Tap into the dynamics. What is unique about you? What is the unique value that you have? And then when you come into something like direct sales, when you come into something like entrepreneurship, when you come into something like starting up a brick and mortar, then the truth is that people will do business with you specifically because of you. They're going to be attracted specifically to who you are because maybe they've gone through the same background, the same story. Maybe they look the same. Maybe they have the same color skin. Maybe they have the same mindset. Maybe they just love who you are and they're just attracted to you. And maybe they just realize you're a boss. You know, they just realize that you've stepped into your power and you're an expert of experts in the area that you're an expert in. And because you have that value, because you have that authenticity, because you have that energy, because you have those positive vibes, because you have the ability to influence others with maybe even just as simple as a Facebook post, because people are maybe following you. And even though they might not be commenting, I promise you people are watching you. And so you have to take responsibility and you have to put yourself in a situation that allows you to impact the most people. And it starts with you. It starts with your time management. It starts with setting you free and kind of like going into like a airport, hopping on the airplane before you take off and the flight attendant says, hey, we've got some rules. You got to pay attention now. And what they do is they show the gas mask and show you how to save your life. And so when the gas mask or the oxygen mask, they drop down in an emergency, guess what they tell you to do? What they tell you to do is put the mask on yourself first before you can save someone else. Put the mask on yourself first before you can save someone else. And so if you're someone that still needs a little bit more growth, I'm going to ask you to trust the process in you. Trust the process that you deserve it. Trust the process that you're someone that can step into your power. Trust the process that you deserve to be in a position of leadership, that you deserve to be able to give and receive. You're someone that deserves to go out there and lift the world up, and it starts with you. And I believe that when you focus on you first, in that moment of just, man, what can I do to become more powerful? How can I step into the most powerful version of me? What's something, maybe a powerful reference experience that I've done in the past? And how can I just kind of close my eyes and just remember that moment and the way the feelings felt? Maybe it was a time where you spoke on stage. Maybe it was a time where you had won a competition in sports. Maybe it was a time that you were working on some project for a hobby, and you realized that, shoot, I'm pretty darn good at this, and it was like a very powerful moment. But then you remember all that feeling on the inside of how good that felt, and you realize you have everything that it takes. You have everything it takes now to go out there and be the support line for others. And so what I encourage you to do is be the shining light and start sharing that light with everyone else. Start sharing the most authentic version of you. And I believe that's going to be the best way to multiply your time. So this is Brian Cain. Again, live out of Sacramento, California. This is Midday Motivational Call. Next one's going to be Friday. And we'll see you on the next one. Take care.